Chapter 3 of the Stanley the Honey Badger Chronicles, brought to you by Action Figure Therapy. Let's recap the previous chapter. Stanley the Honey Badger received genetic enhancements from Nazi scientists that enabled him to live off of and receive power-ups by eating used and discarded cigarette butts. These enhancements also gave his poop the quality of a C4-like explosive and made his fur flame retardant, among other things. Stanley had begun to plot his escape from his Nazi captors, but Adolf Hitler had different plans. Alright, shit's gonna get a little weird from here on out, so bear with me. Stanley did so well at the Nazi scientist experimentation lab that Hitler got a total boner for him. He immediately not only made him his personal pet and valet, but also planned to make Stanley the official mascot for the entire Nazi party. Which, from a marketing standpoint, would not have been fucking cool at all. Speaking of not being cool, everyone knows that Adolf Hitler was famous for being a failed landscape painter. However, a fun fact that most people don't know is that Hitler also absolutely loved to suck tranny cock. Like, he loved it. Like a bunch. He even had a network of secret underground Nazi transvestite karaoke bars operating throughout Germany during his rule, the most famous of which will figure into the story in a little bit. The night Stanley planned to escape, Hitler made an unannounced visit to his holding cell and then took Stanley with him on a tour to the secret hangar where the new V2 rocket was being prepared for testing. The V2 rocket, by the way, was designed by Nazi scientist Werner von Braun, who was later scooped up by the United States after the war and given a job designing the NASA rockets that would eventually go to the moon. He also appeared on multiple space-themed episodes of Walt Disney's World of Color television program back in the 1950s. Which is pretty fucked up if you ask me, but whatever, let's get back to Stanley's story. After the rocket hangar tour, Hitler returned Stanley to his cell in a nearby detention facility. On his way out of the prison, Hitler told two of the handsome SS officers guarding Stanley that he thought they'd both look pretty hot singing Deutschland über alles in high heels, and that they should both stop by his newest and greatest Nazi transvestite karaoke nightclub, Hitler's Asshole, when they got off duty later that night. He even gave them a matchbook from the place with a secret address printed on the back. A few minutes later, Stanley knew it was now or never to make his escape. Using a purloined paperclip palmed between his dexterous toes, Stanley picked the lock to his cell and pounced upon the two SS officers outside who were currently bickering about who was going to get to sing a duet with Hitler first. Stanley's razor-sharp claws made short work of these two douche noodles and literally tore their bodies to bloody ribbons in seconds. In the process, exposing the matchbook and address to Hitler's asshole and giving Stanley one hell of a revenge plan to boot. Minutes later, Stanley snuck into the hangar holding the V2 rocket and then tied up Werner, soon to be a fucking Disney TV star von Braun, and then reprogrammed the first ever prototype V2 rocket to a new destination. And guess where the fuck that was? Yep, that's right. Stanley sent that rocket right into Hitler's asshole while it was inside Hitler's asshole. And while doing so, he surfed on top of it, original Teen Wolf style, the whole way, like the furry little badass that he is. When the smoke cleared and the fire, ash, and body parts had settled, everyone inside the nightclub was dead, including Hitler himself, who was impaled through the butt on a rusty shaft of rebar. But that wasn't a problem for the Nazis, because by that point in the war, they had already figured out a way to clone Hitler, although every subsequent copy of him came out with syphilis and an ever-increasing craving for the taste of sweet, sweet karaoke singing tranny meat. Thus, Quentin Tarantino's Inglourious Basterds was really more of a documentary reenactment of a film than the complete flight of fancy that mainstream movie critics would have you believe. Those guys really did kill Hitler, or a Hitler. It's just that Stanley killed the first Hitler. But even with his monumental murder under his belt, Stanley's real work wasn't even close to beginning. And so he set out to locate, rescue, and reunite his family. If you think this story has been shocking and amazing up to now, you haven't heard anything yet.